is not directly applicable. This is just a little chart showing the growth in the census of limited English proficiency individuals and OTE other than English households. We certainly have a tremendous growth going on as far as percentage of the U.S. population. We have over 300 million people in the world that speak Spanish. And out of that, 21 major countries. And you're all familiar with it. Okay, there's the list: Argentina, Bolivia, and so forth. Then, of course, we have smaller countries, smaller populations that also speak Spanish. And in the 1990 census, 22.4 million Spanish speakers in the United States. But we have a potpourri. You know what a potpourri means, right? It comes from French. It means olla podrida, a rotten pot. You just throw, you know, we talk about the melting pot in the United States. Okay, well, if you leave it out of the refrigerator a little bit too long, it becomes an olla podrida. You just throw in anything that you can find in there. And of course, each country says, I speak correct Spanish. Así no se dice. That's not the way to say it. Okay? And you know, just because somebody has reached a high level of certification doesn't mean that they are immune to this. I not too long ago heard a certified federal court interpreter, which is supposed to be, you know, right up there with UN certification. And of course, if you talk to Dr. Gonzalez at the University of Arizona, she will tell you that that means you have demonstrated minimum proficiency to be a court interpreter. But some people go like, I'm federally certified, so when I speak, you listen. Which of course is not a good attitude to have as an interpreter. And this interpreter was doing a telephonic hearing, and I got to hear it because there was a reopening of the case. He was doing a telephonic hearing, and he was in Miami. And this was a case in Texas, an unemployment hearing. And the person was asked, how do you get to work? And he said, voy en camión, which is Mexican Spanish for I take the bus. Well, this interpreter took issue with that. No se dice camión, se dice autobús. You cannot use the word camión because in some countries it means truck. You must use bus. And of course, that was ridiculous because he was dealing with somebody who spoke the Mexican variety of Spanish. And as an interpreter, I'm not there to correct people's Spanish. I'm there to facilitate communication. And of course, in many cases, in Texas, we have people who are really illiterate in both languages. They can, you know, the judge will say, if you will use the interpreter, you must speak Spanish. Well, he can't. Or you must speak English. Well, he can't. He uses Spanglish. And again, people from the outside don't know really what it means. But we have different varieties of Spanish, and we have to be aware of those different varieties. We have dialectical differences, people from different countries. We have problems of unqualified interpreters being used, and we have the difficulty as an interpreter of knowing different registers, different levels of language. The language used by an attorney in court is going to be different than the language used perhaps by a third-grade education defendant. And as an interpreter, you have perhaps a parent in an educational setting who needs interpreting during that meeting to plan the child's education or to meet with a teacher, and perhaps that parent has very little education, and then they're speaking with a counselor who speaks a totally different register. So we have to be aware of this. So the interpreter's challenge is that no matter the subject, no matter the country of origin, no matter the educational level of the client, you're expected to know everything about everything. That's our challenge. But like I like to tell people, that's why we get paid the big bucks. Maybe not as big as I would like, but you know, we can see it as an opportunity to demonstrate, but I am a professional and I can do this. And so you have to have everything at the tip of the tongue or at the tip of the fingers if you're a sign language interpreter, right? We have to know that, and that's the interpreter's challenge, but let's just get started. Let's find out how we can improve ourselves to overcome these barriers. We have dialectical differences. For example, me alivié hace 2 meses. Me alivié hace 2 meses. Now, if you speak border Spanish, don't speak up. You might know what this means, but coming from Puerto Rico and working in El Paso, the person was asked, when did you have your baby? Me alivié hace 2 meses. I got better 2 months ago. What, were you sick with a baby? Apparently so. But this is the usage of Mexican border Spanish that I had to learn. I had to learn me alivié because I knew I couldn't just interpret that as I started feeling better 2 months ago. Yeah, when the baby was, I mean, I can see the connection, but it's just a different dialect, a different variety. Mis papás están grandes. My parents are large? No, they are older now. My parents are older. I had to learn that variety of Spanish. How about, oh, this is great. I'm in court. A person is being sentenced. And the judge says, Mr. Martinez, before I pass sentence, would you like to say anything? I am so sorry I did this, but tengo muchas drogas. I have a lot of drugs? I just know that can't be right. It can't be appealing to the judge for leniency because I have a lot of drugs. What does it mean? It means I have a lot of bills. I have a lot, and I'm just freezing there. It's like one of my first days in federal court. I'm not even certified yet, and I came to ask. I said, well, you do it. You're an interpreter, you do it. Let's see what you can do. I'm sorry, Your Honor. And somebody whispered, tengo muchos biles. Another great example is border Spanish. I have a lot of biles. Biles, bills, right? But they were helping me out. Okay, well that makes more sense than I have a lot of drugs. Okay, I'll trust you. I have a lot of bills. And so that makes sense. That's why he committed this crime, because he had a lot of bills. Me fallaron las brecas. Me fallaron las brecas. My brecas failed. My brakes failed. That's why I had an accident. Okay. And one more. What do you do for a living? Soy chirraquero. Soy chirraquero. Chirraquero. Okay, I'm searching. The computer's working as fast as it's not in there. Not in there. He's a sheetrocker. He installs sheetrock. He is a chirraquero. So, see, and all I'm dealing with is English and Spanish. You guys are trilingual interpreters. My hat is off to you. I just don't know how you can do it except that you try. You work and you develop yourself and you learn different strategies for overcoming these kind of problems that we see all the time. Of course, there's a problem of using unqualified interpreters. You know, if the oath is administered, do you swear to tell the truth? The person answers, I do. But if the interpreter says, I swear, then I know they're just interpreting